आपदामपहर्तारं दातारं सर्वसम्पदां लोकाभिरामं श्रीरामं भूयो भूयो नमाम्यहम्। रामाय रामभद्राय रामचन्द्राय वेधसे रघुनाथाय नाथाय सीतायाः पतये नमः। श्रीराघवं दशरथात्मजमप्रमेयं सीतापतिं रघुकुलान्वयरत्नदीपम् आजानुबाहुमरविन्ददलायताक्षं रामं निशाचरविनाशकरं नमामि। आञ्जनेयमतिपाटलाननं काञ्चनाद्रिकमनीयविग्रहं पारिजाततरुमूलवासिनं भावयामि पवमाननन्दनं। यत्र यत्र रघुनाथकीर्तनं तत्र तत्र कृतमस्तकाञ्जलिं बाष्पवारि परिपूर्णलोचनं मारुतिं नमत राक्षसान्तकम्। कूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविताशाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकिकोकिलम्। सर्वेभ्यः सुप्रभातम्। So who can chant 1 to 5? Lavaji.
No, not really.
Soumya Mahoday. Or who else?
Sorry, I was on mute. Sorry, Bhogaji, I have not learnt.
1 to 5.
Bhogaji, I can do that if you want.
Dhirendraji, okay, go ahead.
तपस्वाध्याय निरतं तपस्वी वाग्विदाम्बरं नारदं परिप्रच्छ वाल्मीकिर्मुनिपुङ्गवं कोनस्मिन् साम्प्रतं लोके गुणवान् कश्च वीर्यवान् धर्मज्ञश्च कृतघ्नश्च सत्यवाक्यो दृढो व्रतः चारित्रेण चको युक्तः सर्वभूतेषु को हितः विद्वान् कस्समर्थश्च कश्चैकप्रियदर्शनः आत्मवान् को जितक्रोधो द्युतिमान् को न सूयकः कस्य बिभ्यति देवाश्च जातरोषस्य संयुगे। एतदिच्छाम्यहं श्रोतुं कौतूहलं हि मे महर्षे त्वं समर्थोषि ज्ञातुमेवं विधं नरम्।
Who can go from here?
Deepti.
Deepti ji, go ahead.
श्रुत्वा चैतत्त्रिलोकज्ञो वाल्मीकिर्नारदो वचः श्रूयतामिति चामन्त्या प्रहृष्टो वाक्यमब्रवीत् बहवो दुर्लभाश्चैव ये त्वया कीर्तिता गुणाः मुने वक्ष्याम्यहं बुद्ध्वा तैर्युक्तः श्रूयतां नरः इक्ष्वाकुवंशप्रभवो रामो नाम जनैः श्रुतः नियतात्मा महावीर्यो धृतिमान् धृतिमान् वशी बुद्धिमान् नीतिमान् वाग्मी श्रीमान् शत्रुनिबर्हणः विपुलांसो महाबाहुः कम्बुग्रीवो महाहनुः महोरस्को महेश्वासो गूढजत्रुररिन्दमः आजानुबाहुः सुशिरा सुललाटः सुविक्रमः समः समविभक्ताङ्गः स्निग्धवर्ण प्रतापवान् पीनवक्षा विशालाक्षो लक्ष्मीवान् सुबलक्षणः धर्मज्ञः सत्यसन्धश्च प्रजानां च हिते रतः यशस्वी ज्ञानसम्पन्नः शुचिर्वश्यः समाधिमान्. That's it, Bhogaji. I learned 13-1, but not very fluent. Maybe I can read.
Very good. Uttamam. Anybody else to continue from 13? We actually did till where? We did half of 13.
Yes.
At least till 13 we should all have learned. So repeat after me. प्रजापति समश्रीमान् धाता रिपुनिषूदनः रक्षिता जीवलोकस्य धर्मस्य परिरक्षिता रक्षिता स्वस्य धर्मस्य स्वजनस्य च रक्षिता वेद वेदांग तत्त्वज्ञो धनुर्वेदे च निष्ठितः सर्वशास्त्रार्थ तत्त्वज्ञः स्मृतिमान् प्रतिभानवान् सर्वलोकप्रियः साधुः अदीनात्मा विचक्षणः सर्वदा विगतः सद्भिः समुद्र इव सिन्धुभिः. Actually that's the whole samasa, but we'll break it. सर्वदा विगतः सद्भिः समुद्र इव सिन्धुभिः आर्यः सर्वसमश्चैव सदैकप्रियदर्शनः स च सर्वगुणोपेतः कौसल्यानन्दवर्धनः समुद्र इव गाम्भीर्ये धैर्येण हिमवानिव विष्णुना सदृशो वीर्ये सोमवत्प्रियदर्शनः कालाग्निसदृशः क्रोधे क्षमया पृथिवी समः धनदेन समस्त्यागे सत्ये धर्म इवापरः. So those are the 19 shlokas we should all be knowing, every one of us. At least then we can say we know how to define who is Rama. Hey, this is Rama. We should be able to say. Otherwise, if you... So that is important. Yeah. So last week we did till... we started with Dharmajnah Satyasandascha Prajanam cha Hiteratah Yashasvi Jnanasampannaha. Then we started with Shuchihi. Last week we started with Shuchihi. So Shuchihi, I think if we all remember, Shuchi was about Pratasnanadina, Pranayama Abhyasadina, right? So those were the qualifiers given by our Panditas in terms of what is Shuchi. Then Vashyaha, it was all about he under Paratantra, Ashrita Jana Paratantraha. Then Samadhiman, Samadhi Sthiti we studied from yoga point of view. And Sri Rama was one who was even Jagrat Api Samadhiman, even though he was, even while awake, even though he's moving, talking, walking, doing everything, he's still in Samadhi. Samadhi of having lost his own self-consciousness. He is living for the consciousness of others. So he is Samadhiman, Tadvan. Then we went to Prajapatihi. We defined what is Prajapatitvam. The ability to protect the whole world. Dhata, Shriman we also said. So again, Sita, Rupa, Lakshmivan. Similarly, Shriman. Then we also did Dhata. So we'll continue from there. But before that, like always, we do Panchangam. Where is Panchangam today? No, not here. No. So Adyatana Panchangam. Adya Sharvari Nama Samvatsare Uttarayane Grishmartau Jyeshthamase Shukla Pakshe Ashtami Tithi till 10:27 AM. Today is Thiravasaraha. Nakshatram Purva Falguni till 7:13 PM, followed by Uttara Falguni. Harshana Yogaha till 9:58 AM, followed by Vajra Yogaha. Karanam, like last week, it is still continuing the same set. Bhavaha, Balavaha, and Kaulavaha. Bhavaha till 10:27 AM, Balavaha till 9:19 PM, and then followed by Kaulavaha. So we did Dhata last time, which we said was Poshakaha. Vedokta Karmakari, Dharana Poshanayoho Dhata. So now we'll continue from Ripunishodanaha. Ripunishodanaha, Ripu by simple term is Shatru. Shatru is Ripu. Ari, Ripu, Shatru, these are the synonyms. So what is that Ripu? Ashrita Jana Ripu Nashakaha. He is Nashakaha, remover or destroyer of Ripus, the Shatrus, enemies. Enemies of who? Ashrita Janaha. Of his Ashrita Janas, Ripus, enemies, he is going to get rid of them. He is going to protect us from the enemies of his seekers, of his devotees. So Kamadi, and so what are those? They're trying to still say, who are those Ripus? Again, there is physical Ripus anyway, but also Kamadi Ripunashaka. So Kama Adi Shadvarga, Arishadvarga. And in Vedanta we say those are the 6 Ripus. Any Vedanti, if you ask who are those enemies, we know immediately. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsara. These 6 Kamadi, Ripunashakaha. Then slowly if we go into a little Vedokta level, it is Ripun means Shatrun, Nishudayati, Nirastayati. So that means he makes them disabled. He disables the Shatrun, Ripun. So Ripunishodanaha. Further elaborated as Ripu. Who are those Ripus? Vedadruhaha. So anybody who is Droha, Droha is what? A betrayer. Betrayers of Veda, essentially, which means violators of Veda, non-followers of Veda, or those who are against Vedas. So those are the Ripu, those are the Veda Druhaha. So here Ripu are the Veda Druhaha. So Ripun, which means Veda Druhaha, Nishudayati, slains them, gets rid of them. Tad dogdrutvam nivartayati iti. Dogdrutvam is dugdha is essentially one who is milking. So not only are the Veda Druhas, but anyone milking Veda Druhas, that means anybody following those Veda Druhas are also ridden by him in the quality of Ripunushodanaha. So that means we say there are 4 karma phali. Karta, Karayita Chaiva, Modaka, Preraka, Anumodakastatha, we say. So there are 4 categories of result seekers, or four categories by which results are distributed. The first one obviously is Karta. Whoever does the work, he gets the result, but not 100%. There is proportionately based on the type of the activity. He might get 60%, he might get 50%. In some cases, he might get only 10%. That's the Karta, first one. The next big participant or recipient of the Phala is Karayita. One who, the doer is Karta. Karayita is one who is making him do. One who is making him do is the Karayita. So typically manager or somebody who is the enabler. So Karta and Karayita. Karayita is the second recipient who is going to get those phala. Good or bad. The third one is Karta Karayita Prerakaha. Somebody who is motivating them to do it. So the leader or the guru or the motivator who says, go do it, man. You should do it. Don't you think you should do it? You should go and do it. Why do you care if it is for bad things or for, hey, you should care for good things. So Prerakaha is the third category of the recipients. Then finally, Anumodakaha, somebody who is he's neither the doer, nor the enabler, nor the motivator, but just by not, so let's say if it was a bad action, just by not resisting it, or if it is a good action, just by not participating in it. He's Anumodaka. That means he's a audience. Essentially, modam is an enjoyment. Anumodaka is following the enjoyment, which means following the entertainment. Who is that? Audience. Somebody who's just looking at audience, or there is another word for it. What is it called? Lookers, onlookers. Is it onlookers? Somebody who's just watching. He doesn't participate. He doesn't resist either. So they are Anumodaka. They also get the result as the last part of it. So Karta Karayita Chaiva Preraka Anumodakastatha Prerako Anumodakastatha are the 4 categories. So here when we say Dogdrutvam, so while there are Vedadruha Ripus, those who are against our core knowledge base with the foundation of our culture, which is the Veda, those who are against it are the Vedadruhas, and those who are milking from them, that means those who are dependent on such Vedadruhas, are the that group is called Tad Dogdhrutvam. Dugdha Karoti Tataha, they are the Dogdhrutvam. They are also going to be punished. For example, and that's why sometimes I get worried when all these bad things happen. When Narasimha Avatara comes, we say Narasimha Avatara came to protect Prahlada, right? If so, he could have just slain, because his first interaction was with Hiranyakashipu directly. He would have, and he anyway, kills Hiranyakashipu and done. But it doesn't stop there. If you read Bhagavatam, he slains about millions of the soldiers and other citizens also who are on the side of Hiranyakashipu. Except the rishis, all those prisoners of Hiranyakashipu, Prahlada and all the devotee prisoners whom Hiranyakashipu has put behind bars and tortured them. Except them, all other guys who didn't resist, all other guys who didn't fight Hiranyakashipu, all others who didn't side Prahlada were all slain. Majority of them, of course, is the army of Hiranyakashipu, but all other ministers, enjoyers, all of them were slain. So they all come under the Anumodaka category, the Dogdhrutvam, Tad Dogdhrutvam. So also, if we don't actively at least raise our voice or work towards fighting the injustice, fighting the evil doers, then we will be on the other side. When he comes, he's going to slay us also. So at least to be not on that side, we should actively resist anything that that is evil, that is against dharma. Any adharma activity, we should all resist. Now the first question comes is, hey, and that is what probably has been happening since Satya Yuga, since Hiranyakashipu's time also. Ordinary person, as an individual, he thinks, even though he is good otherwise, only reason he is not resisting is he thinks he is not strong to resist. Right? Okay, in Satya Yuga and other yugas, we cannot explain probably. But in Kali Yuga, they say Sanghe Shakti Kalau Yuge. In the Kali Yuga, the strength comes by associating ourselves into a bigger number. If all the sajjanas, if all the good people, who and all the dharmanuyayis, if we all come together, stand together, there is a collective Atma, the Atma of the collectiveness, the Samishti, right? And the Samishti automatically gets the strength. And that becomes a very bigger virtual body, which can fight adharma. So instead of fighting alone individually, which invariably and especially in Kali Yuga will fizzle out very easily, we should fight together. Fight as in work together. Work for positive things, not necessarily always negative resistance only, right? We have to work positively also. We say we have to preserve, protect, and project dharma, right? So we should work. First thing to learn is to be a collective entity, not being an individual in silos. To be in a collective entity and then working together, finding if there is a gap here in him, we fill it. If I have a gap here, the other person fills it. So together compensating each other's weaknesses, complementing each other's strengths, we should work towards enabling, protecting, and projecting the dharma, and resisting and fighting adharma. Right? So then we will not be part of that tad-dogdrutvam, and hence will not be, anyway we will not be the Vedadruhas, but we should not also be part of tad-dogdrudha. Right? So we should not be part of the Anumodakas, hence we should be standing against it. Then we will not be Ripus, and so we will not be Ripunushodana, we will only be the Ashrita Janaha of the Dharma and Rama. So Dhata and then Ripunushodana. Then Rakshita Jivalokasya is the next pada there, which if you put as a prose, it is Jivalokasya Rakshita. It's very obvious, right? Jivalokasya. Loka is the world, Jiva is the living worlds, Rakshita, protector, is the protector of the living worlds. That's an English definition. But if we go by our definitions, Atha Avataraikantan Gunan Aha Rakshita iti. So now by this quality, he is bringing the avatara qualities, which is what Loke Sarvabhaumaha Swakiya Janarakshana eva yatate. So Loke, in the worlds, normally Sarvabhaumaha, the supreme sovereign guy, which means the ruler, the king, or governor, president, whoever, right? Swakiya Janarakshana eva yatate. Yatate is attempts, right? Prayatnam karoti. He normally, all the rulers, all the leaders, they try to do favors, they try to protect, they try to do good for their followers, for their people only. Swakiya Jana Rakshana eva yatate. Ayam tu na tatha kintu sarvasya pranijatasya rakshita. So here saying ayam is he. However, ayam tu, ye to न तथा, वैसा नहीं, ये तो वैसा नहीं. कौन ये? श्री राम जी. ये या वे कहना है. वे तो ऐसा नहीं. How is he? किंतु सर्वस्य प्राणिजातस्य रक्षिता. He is the rakshita of the all pranajatis. And we see that literally also in Ramayana, right? And his followers and he was protecting not just men, not just citizens of Ayodhya city, not just citizens of the Aryavarta, but all species. Jatayu, birds, the huge birds, right? Jatayu, Sampati, etc. And then several Vanaras we have seen. He was protecting the Hirani, that is deers, etc. Right? So he sarvasya pranijati rakshita is. So that is the Jivalokasya Rakshita. Another definition, of course, is same thing. Jivalokasya, which means Prani Samohasya. Jiva is Prani, one who has the life. Prani Samohasya Sakala Vyavahara Pravartakatvena Rakshita. So Rakshita, protector, doesn't mean only when somebody is is being about to be killed, you go and protect him. No. Sakala Vyavahara Pravartakatvena. Vyavahara is, we know Vyavahara, right? Vyavahara is interactions or the protocol, the interactions. So Sakala Vyavahara Pravartakatvam. Pravartakatvam means Vartate is stays, Pravartakatva is significantly stays. So make sure that all the regular day-to-day interactions, etc., are all enabled to be, are all supported to be done without any hindrances. That is Rakshana. So Sakala Vyavahara Pravartakatvena Rakshita. So that's why if you see now our Prarthana Shloka also, we say Vishwashanti Pravartake, that Pravartakatvam. Right? So most of us, we pronounce Vishwashanti Pravartake. Incorrect. Vishwashanti Pravartake. Shantim pravartayati iti Shanti pravartaka. We are addressing her in the Strilinga, so Vishwashanti pravartake, he pravartake, we say. So, pravartakatvam is, what do you say? Letting it stay or letting it exist. Letting it exist. So, Vishwashanti pravartakatvena rakshita. Jivanti, which means pranadharanam kurvanti iti, which is, and so jivaha, which are manushya and adayaha, all other species, is the protector of all of them. Protector means let them live, enables them to live. Then dharmasya parirakshita is the next quality. Rakshita jivalokasya dharmasya parirakshita. Again, we all know it, but a lot more enabled by what is dharma, if somebody asks, to be able to define all of that. So, tattad varnashrama dharmasya maryada paripalana dwara rakshita. So, first quality of dharma here is varnashrama dharma. We have varna, chaturvarna, chaturashramaha. We have chaturvarnaha and chaturashramaha, right? And for each one of them, there is a dharma. There is a varna dharma, there is ashrama dharma. So, tat, wo, us, that, varnas and ashramas, dharmas, the maryada paripalana. Every dharma has a maryada. Maryada is a policy, a philosophy, a principle. Every dharma has a principle, every dharma has a philosophy to be followed, to be implemented. And so, by that paripalana of that maryada, he is a rakshita of that dharma. We all know those varnashramas, but just because we got an opportunity, let us see what those are in contemporary terms again, right? So, chaturvarna, how we say. So, everybody, we have a two-dimensional, what do you say, two-dimensional time cycle or a two-dimensional time distribution graph. One axis is varna axis, the other one is ashrama. So the ashramas, they go by as age progresses, we go through those ashramas. We start with brahmacharya, and then we progress into, graduate into grihastha. From there we graduate into vanaprastha, and from there to sannyasa. So those are the four ashramas we know. What are they? Contemporarily, if we have to see, what are they? Brahmacharyam is obviously, once we think the boy is able to, or the child is able to walk, play, run on his own, we put them in for education. Brahmacharya is brahmani charati iti brahmachari tasmin brahmacharyam. So about Brahma is what? Is the ultimate. So to gain knowledge of that ultimate thing, not just stopping with one computer science or one medicine, but studying everything, knowing everything. That way, I think, see, sometimes if we see our society till our grandparents, probably in certain families till our parents' age also, there was a holistic knowledge within the family. They would know some medicine tips, they would know economic tips, they would know, astronomy tips. They know, if not, master of all, but they were jack of all. They knew everything. Nowadays, we know nothing except our profession. For every other thing, we go to a consultant. We go consult a doctor. We go consult a fitness person. We go consult a nutritionist. We go consult a whatever. For everything, because we are knowledgeless. We have become a silo of one small specialization, nothing else, generally. Again, there are exceptions always on both good and bad sides, but generally speaking, nowadays, right? But whereas till our grandparents' time, they knew everything. They knew cultivation, they knew medicine at home, they knew dresses, they knew astronomy, they knew when in, arts. So many multifaceted personalities we were at one point, right? So from that point of view, if we see, So in the Brahmacharya, it is about, that is why for us it is Brahmacharya, studying the ultimate, going around the ultimate, seeking the ultimate is our goal of our education. Not just seeking one small, yes, we might specialize in one area, but should be knowing everything around. That is our Brahmacharya, that is our education basis. And that is why even if we see our Shishu Mandirs, etc., right, any traditional schools back in Bharat, they teach you everything. They teach you morals, they teach you all other things, in addition to the standard English, math, science, physics, whatever, traditional curriculum, school board exams. In addition to that curriculum, they also teach all the other things around, so that we become a complete personality. Like Swami Vivekananda said also, right? Education is about man making, is about human, building a human, not just feeding information. Anyway, so that is Brahmacharya. And then from there we get into Grihastha. That means till that time, a Brahmachari doesn't even know a Gruham. Stha means sthiti, tishtati. So till that time he doesn't have a Gruha. He doesn't have a home of his own. He was in the Gurukula. Before that he was with the parents, under parents till those first few years. Then in Gurukula, now he is going to enter his own home. Literally, that is what it means, which means he is entering to start to live independently, right, without depending on anybody else. Having obtained all that knowledge, he applies that for two things: one, for his own living; two, for teaching. Teaching is a continuous thing for us. Adhyayanam, adhyapanam. These two we have to continuously do. Danam, adanam. So we have to earn and give back, donate, or not call donate, but let give back. Adanam, danam. There are four qualities I forgot. So Vidya, Dhanam, then two other are there, for which it is always two ways. So in Grihastha Ashrama, the main thing is this two-way. Till Brahmacharya, it was only one way. He was seeking the body nourishment from mother in his very infant age. Then till he becomes a young adult, he was seeking the knowledge from teachers. He was seeking probably minimal lodging and boarding also from the school or from the society through Bhiksha. By seeking Bhiksha for the Gurukula, he is also seeking, he is also still seeking. He was only one-way reception till the Brahmacharya Ashrama. Once he enters Grihastha Ashrama is when the other giving back starts. He continues to take. Now he's making money, he's building wealth, he's building, helping economy and all, but he's also giving back. Grihastha Ashrama is the core ashrama of the all four ashramas for us, right? Because a Grihastha is the one who is supporting the entire society. He is supporting the Brahmacharis, he's through donations to Gurukula, etc. He is supporting the Vanaprasthas, the elderly people who are still not completely denounced or not completely disassociated from the society. He is also supporting the sannyasis, right? And of course, in the nation also he is supporting through taxes. Taxpayer is the term, right? So Grihastha Ashrama is the most important ashrama. So Brahmacharya to Grihastha Ashrama. Then Vanaprastha onwards, the maturity of a Grihastha should start reflecting, should start manifesting. Yes, I've seen the world, I've done everything. Now the next generation is ready to take over. All right, slowly start detaching, disassociating from the day-to-day control, day-to-day power-based activities. The power of running the family, the power of running an organization, the power of running the society, power of running the nation. From all of those, slowly detach. That detachment area phase is the Vanaprastha. Literally means somebody, as we said, stha is tishtati, one who stays. Grihe tishtati grihastha. Vane tishtati vanaprastha. But not necessarily you have to go to Vana. The state, the mind's, the mental state of being detached from a passionate, attachment. In fact, Bhagayaji and all Sangha says, Vanaprasthis nowadays, just as Grihasthas are very important, Vanaprasthas are also very, very important because they have time, probably because they are retired. They have a lot of time. So they should be able to provide culture to the children because Grihasthas, both couple are nowadays very, very busy. So who are there to impart the remaining things that a school is not able to provide? It is the Vanaprasthas. The elderly are the ones who can provide that gap, which was previously automatically taken care of in a bigger non-nuclear family, right? More than nuclear family in the past. That since it is missing now because everything is a nuclear family, and even within that, both husband and wife are working. So children are groomed by the schools, which may not be sufficient. And that is where Vanaprastha should come in, should take up, run Balagokulam kind of activities, tell them stories, etc. Bhagayaji used to propose that when we were in Bhagyanagar at that time. So that is a Vanaprastha. And then finally, Satnyastha, Sanyasaha. Sannyasa is when you have finally detached everything. Several people have gone through all those 4 phases. Fortunately or unfortunately, Adi Shankara was the first one in Kali Yuga who has cut short all those phases and said, hey, from Brahmacharya, I'm directly jumping into Sannyasa. So then, since then, the new Dashanami Sannyasa Vyavastha is continuing that same tradition. They skip Grihastha and Vanaprastha and directly jump to Sannyasa. But we also know several people in the past, including one that I suddenly remembered is our Tyagaraja, Saint Tyagaraja, not Saint, our Tyagaraja, Vagyekara, Tyagaraja Swami. He went through all the 4 ashramas. He did Brahmacharya, and his Grihastha ashrama he ran through what is called as Unchavritti. Unchavritti is a specialized bhiksha, where you don't seek bhiksha, but he picks unclaimed grains that were otherwise plucked and fallen on the ground by birds, by other insects or pests, etc. So such unutilized, unclaimed grains only you collect and live on it. That is Unchavritti. So Tyagaraja went through Grihastha ashrama like that, and then he took Vanaprastha, and finally he took sannyasa after he lost his wife. Towards the end of his life, when he was very, very old, he takes sannyasa and then gives up the life. And then there are several people like that. Each one of us know from our own regions who went through all the 4 ashramas also. But contemporary days we see, we don't have to wear all those dresses and all if we cannot. But mental state of building attachment, initially gaining everything, gain as much knowledge as you can in as many fields as you can, build your personality, physical and mental personality and spiritual personality in the Brahmacharya ashrama, and then start applying it for the benefit of everyone around you in the Grihastha ashrama. But that involves a lot of rajas quality in the Grihastha ashrama, which is passionate, working towards certain goals, having a zeal to achieve things, mission and all. So that rajas quality, after a while, if it continues, it slowly becomes tamas quality, it becomes negative. And so when it has reached its peak, we say, now start Vanaprastha ashrama, start your detachment. When it reached the peak of passion, slowly start detaching from there in the Vanaprastha and give back cultural contributions to the society. And finally, sannyasa is when you give spiritual contribution back to the society, not necessarily in that order. And varna, we know even to run, unfortunately, we get confused between varna and caste, which I think all of us know, but just we'll quickly see that. There is a education knowledge-based groups, right? Let's call it knowledge-based, whether it is education, research, inventions, discoveries, etc. All that knowledge base of any field is one group or one trait. Let us call it as a trait. Yeah, trait or a human aptitude, right? The intellectual aptitude. An aptitude towards knowledge base, towards building knowledge base. Then the other one is an aptitude towards protection or towards running things, towards setting certain discipline and making it run, right? Governance, let's call it governance. Yeah. So there is knowledge base, but then there should be governance of the application of that knowledge base. Somebody is applying it, but there should be a governance of that knowledge base, which is the other varna. The third varna is distribution of this knowledge base. So somebody did some research, somebody is producing, applying that research and producing certain devices or whatever, for which there is a governance, there is a administration, and then there is distribution. And finally, in order to do all these activities, we need workers, we need employees, we need servicemen. So that's the fourth category or fourth attitude. So based on your guna karma vibhagashaha, says Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, based on your gunas, which is whether you are in sattva, tama, rajas or tamas guna, and karma, based on the type of activities that you typically incline towards. As simple as somebody wants to get up and always go biking, running, jogging, etc. Somebody wants, no, I cannot run and all, I will sit and probably do some drawings. Somebody will say, no, I don't even want to, I neither run or do drawing, or somebody wants to read books. Oh boy, there are voracious readers, right? But then there are couch potatoes also who do nothing. Neither they read, nor they do any arts, nor are they teaching or anything, nor are they running. Couch potatoes, right? So that is guna. So based on this guna, the karma that you take up automatically, you choose based on your guna, you pick up those karmas. And so it is natural. Guna karma vibhagashaha. Based on your guna and karma, you are ending up seeking one of those jobs, right? So either the knowledge base work or the administration, ruling, governance work, or the distribution, sales distribution work, or the general worker, the helper, the actual worker, the doer part of it, right? Now, it need not be, this also is into two axes. It is either in one scale, you see different groups of people doing different activities, but within every one person, every individual also does these four activities for himself. He's also seeking knowledge and learning something new, etc. He's also implementing them. He's also, doing the distribution, trade, etc. within himself, and he's also doing the final service activities for himself, for his own home, for his community, etc. So at an individual level, at a society level, based on how you see, based on the point of view, these four groups are there either within one individual or within the society, within the nation, within the world, etc. So tat varna ashrama dharmasya maryada paripalana dwara rakshita. That is dharmasya rakshita. Again, tat dharma pravartakaha, the enabler of the respective dharmas. Acharana pracharanabhyam sarva dharmasya vyavasthapayita. So by acharana and pracharana, by propagation or by publicity or by, what do you call? Prachara is communication or whatever. Prachara, we all know, right? Prachara. So by achara and prachara. Somebody said anything?
Yeah, I was saying promotion.
Promotion. Yeah, promotion. By implementing and promotion. By achara and prachara, sarva dharmasya vyavasthapita, an establisher of all the dharmas, is the dharmasya parirakshita. Swasya, which means svakiyasya, sharanagata rakshana rupasya dharmasya, vishesha dharmasya, Visishya Rakshita. I think we spend a lot of time on this, so I'll quickly jump through it. Yadva dharmasya, which means again same thing. Tattad dharmasya nityam samantato rakshita. Samantata is integrally, holistically protector or enabler. So rakshita swasya jivaloka, rakshita jivalokasya dharmasya parirakshita. Rakshita, then the next sloka starts. Everyone repeat after me. Rakshita swasya dharmasya swajanasya cha rakshita veda vedanga tattvajño dhanurvede cha nishtitah. So we saw two rakshita of him. We said jivalokasya rakshita, then dharmasya rakshita. Now swasya dharmasya rakshita, that is also being enabled, is said here. So not only, of course, he is part of the entire Jivaloka. So when we say Jivalokasya Rakshita, he is also part of it. So probably he is protecting himself or enabling himself, supporting himself. Dharmasya Rakshita, he also has some dharma. So even as part of that, he should be supporting himself. But explicitly, this quality is also mentioned by Narada. Swasya dharmasya rakshita. He as an individual also has his own dharma and not slipping from, enabling or supporting that dharma, his own dharma. So very explicitly, Narada mentions that. Swasya dharmasya rakshita. What is it? Swasya dharmasya pravartakatva rupa Maharajadhirajattvasya parirakshita nityam svikarta. So as a Maharajadhiraja, whatever are his dharma, he is also parirakshita of it. Swasya dharmasya, which is what? Yajnadhyayana dana danda yuddhadi rupasya rakshita. Sadaram anushtata. So sadaram means with all the honor, with all the respect. Anushtata, anushtanam karoti. So an implementer. So he implements with all honor and respect his dharma. What are some of the examples given? Adi, rupasya, and so on, which are yajna, adhyayana, dana, danda, yuddha, and other activities of and other dharmas of his together as swasya dharma. So he does yajna, he does adhyayana. That's why we have Yoga Vasishtham, right? Which is a big conversation between Vasishtha and Sri Rama. And then Dana, we know he's always there for giving of the society only. Danda, very, very, very strict in the law enforcement. Danda and Yuddha, of course, we know his valor and all. This is the best part of it. Loke sarva dharma pravartakopi, in the world, sarva dharma pravartakaha api means even the so-called sarva dharma pravartakas also, there is one commonly made allegation or made fun of, which is dharmopadesha samaye janah sarve api panditaha tad anusthana samaye munayopi na panditaha is one sarcastic statement made of several preachers. Let's put it that way. That's why probably they say don't preach. What does it say? Dharma upadesha samaye. Dharmasya upadesham, which is, preaching or prescribing. When you have to prescribe, when you have to preach dharma to somebody else, jana sarve api panditaha. Everybody is a pandita. Hey man, you should do this. You should do it. to preach to somebody else, everybody is a pandita. Everybody is knowledgeable. Everybody is an expert. But tada anusthana samaye, when you have to implement it yourself, whatever you have preached, munayaha api na panditaha. So he's saying there are several, even Munis also, Muni Jana also are not Panditas when it comes to implementing. For preaching, everybody is a Pandita. When it comes to implementing, we have seen, right? Even several Munis also have certain times failed, certain times have fallen. So that is only to say, even great guys have fallen. What of ordinary guys? So if somebody preaches, hey, and that is why we have Gandhiji also saying, right? Practice before you preach. Right? You first practice, then probably you don't even have to preach. Exemplary leadership, we say, right? Exemplary leadership nowadays. And so that is what is told here through this sarcastic shloka. धर्मोपदेश समये जनाः सर्वे पंडिताः, जनाः सर्वेपि पंडिताः, तदनुष्ठान समये मुनयोपि न पंडिताः इति न्यायेन सर्वधर्मानुष्ठाने स्खलति न तथा अयम् इत्याह स्वस्य धर्मस्य परिरक्षिता. So everybody is like that. न तथा अयम्, अयम् is he, एषः, this person, इन्होंने. He is not like that. Rest all people are like that, but he is not like that. And we know several examples. Most famous example, like again, over and over, nothing wrong in saying, recollecting, quoting the same example. Take a Pativrata. Even in case of Ashwamedha Yaga that he had to do, which requires a Patni, Dharma Patni, to be sitting next to him, to give him Achamana, to give him all the, to help him do all the Kriyas. He said, no, I like the most. And then so they found, okay, how do we now make this happen? This yajna has to be performed, Ashwamedha yajna, so that the famine and all of the country, nation can be taken care of. But how do we do that? Rama is so stubbornly saying that, you know, Patni Vrata only. So they found a workaround. They said, okay, let's have Sita kind of a golden statue of her. Then he'll be probably eligible to do it. So that is the na tatha ayam iti aha swasya dharmasya rakshita iti. A similar one, I think we'll skip it so that, because we are still here only. Dharmasya, which means again samanya vishesha rupasya. We studied this in the very beginning. Dharmajnaha. When we studied Dharmajnaha as the one of the qualities asked by Valmiki in the first 5 shlokas. There we said there is Samanya Dharma, there is Vishesha Dharma. And so we say Dharma is a Sukshma. Sukshma means subtle. It is not a black and white written in book kind of a, it's not 10 commandments. Dharma is very, very subtle. It needs proper interpretation. It needs proper analysis before a judgment is made, before a decision is made. So we generally categorize it as Samanya Dharma. There are certain dharmas which are general dharmas, which means it applies for everybody in every situation. But then there is Vishesha Dharma, which is based on your role that you are playing, based on that specific situation, that specific use case, you know, it varies. So Dharmasya, which means Samanya Vishesha Rupasya, Sthapanam ahetara sthapanam aha itara vakyadvayena. So by the other 2 sentences, dharmasya samanya vishesha rupasya. So what were those other 2? Jivalokasya rakshita, dharmasya rakshita. So with those 2 statements, and the Bhashyakara is saying that sthapanam aha itara vakyadvayena. Which sthapanam? Samanya vishesha rupasya. So jivalokasya rakshita iti samanya dharmasya sthapanam, and dharmasya rakshita iti vishesha rupasya dharmasya sthapanam iti is the analysis there. So rakshita swasya dharmasya sita parinaya mukhena swa ashrama uchita dharmanam anushtata. So by various ashrama dharmas also, by begetting Sita and etc. Yadva swasya dharma paratvam tasya rakshita. Which means for him Swasya dharmam is the paratvam. That's the ultimate of following his dharma, his individual dharma, which is the role that he is playing, which is Raja. For him, Praja eva, everything as a Raja. So that is Swasya dharmasya rakshita. So point to note here, main point is the sarcastic statement, and he says Rama is not one such who preaches one thing, but while coming to implementation, he, deviates from it. No, he's not one such. And only to say that Swasya dharmasya rakshita is also mentioned by Narada, they say. So Jivalokas rakshita Jivalokasya dharmasya rakshita rakshita swasya dharmasya swajanasya rakshita yasmin sarva rakshakatvam tasmin swajana rakshakatvam siddhameva iti. So the Bhashyakara is first starting with the same doubt that we might get. Sarvalokasya rakshita, then swajanasya rakshita is part of it, right? That is obvious only. Punaha swajana rakshakatva pratipadanam gobali vardanyayena visishta bodhanaya. So there is one nyaya. In the Nyaya Shastra, there are several nyayas. Nyaya means not the nyaya that we know as law or justice. Nyaya in Sanskrit, Nyaya Shastram, means what do you say? A philosophical or a what do you call an aphorism, which is an analogy based principle. So you give an analogy and then you name a principle for it. That is a nyayam. So that becomes a quotable reference when we go for activities and actions, etc.
Right. It's like a Roe versus Wade. So we know what is Roe versus Wade, and we say, oh, then we apply that, something like that.
Exactly. Yes. Right. So that is the nyaya. So as per that Go Bali Vardanyaya, which is essentially to emphasize a certain, we say Go and Bali Varda. Both are mentioned. Go is sufficient, but Bali Varda is also mentioned to emphasize that, hey, Go is important. So according to that Nyaya, even though Jivalokasya Rakshita implies Swajanasya Rakshita, but just to emphasize that he is also for his people, Swajanasya Rakshita is also mentioned here, they say. And Swajanasya cha means Swajanasya abhisyartha anena Swajana Rakshanasya durghatatvam suchitam yadva chastvartha. Okay, so this is all Vyakaranam. Swajanasya Sharanagatasya Visheshena Rakshita. Again, Swajana here means Sharanagata Jana, Visheshena means especially the Sharanagata. Visheshastu tad aparadha sahishnutvam. So here, what is the Visheshata of the Sharanagata Rakshana? Tad aparadha sahishnutvam. Even if there is an aparadha, in fact, this is a good line to quote for us when missionaries come and say, yes, is a savior of sinners. Hey, come on. Even Rama is a savior of sinners then. We don't need somebody else. Because here what they are saying, Visheshastu tad aparadha sahishnutvam. Sahishnuta is ability to, what is it? Patiently
Tolerate.
Tolerate. Tolerate or tolerate probably, or accept. Tolerate or accept, yes. So Sahishnuta of what? Of tad aparadham. Even if there is somebody who did an aparadha, but if he later comes as Sharanagata, he is going to protect you and take care of you. So he is a savior of sinner. Tad aparadha sahishnutvam. 8:30. What should we do? Stop here? Because Vedanga Tattvajnaha is a very big, there is a lot of information here. Because I there is something called as Ashtadasha Vidyasthanam. So how do we, if somebody again asks, what is the Hindu knowledge base? What is the Vedic knowledge base? We should know some details about it, right? We know, probably all of us know all the branches of education today. But what is the Vedic knowledge base? So luckily for us, the Panditas, the Bhashikaras have given a lot of quotes of what does Veda, Vedanga, Upavedas, and each Veda or each part of these Upaveda is addressing which aspect of the society requirements. So together, at least, and in the next slide I have put a table also of these 18 Vidyasthanams, Vedas, 4 Vedas, Vedanga 6, then Upavedas, together all of them coming up to 18. I'll try to put a slide because so it will take at least 10-15 minutes to cover this one Veda Vedanga Tattvajna. So we'll do it probably next time in the next session. But I thought that is important, Veda Vedanga Tattvajna. We should know at least, right? The whole idea of spending so much time in this only is we as Dharma ambassadors, right? Hindu Dharma ambassadors. We are the ambassadors. When we interact with the rest of the society, we should be the beacons, the light. If somebody has any doubt, they should be approaching us. Or if somebody doesn't know it correctly, we should be able to correct them also. We should have that much of information about our dharma, about fundamentals, about the details. So we are covering all this in such a detail. So Veda Vedanga Tattvajna we'll do next session. Anybody has any? I didn't give anyone any chance to interact today. Anybody has anything to say?
No, Bhukaji, I just wanted to know more about this Go Balivardhana. What exactly is that? Maybe next time you can.
Just to simply say, Balivardha is the ox. Go is
right.
the female cow.
Mm-hmm.
Generally, when we say Go Rakshana, we also there Balivardha, the Vrishabha Rakshana is also implied. But there is a Go Balivardha Nyaya which is saying Go and Balivardha. If you say Go, that is sufficient. It includes the ox also protection or for good values for all principles. But oftentimes in our literature, we see Go and Balivardha mentioned again and again. It is saying that to emphasize certain thing, they say Go and Balivardha, even though Go is sufficient. Likewise, to emphasize, even though Jivalokasya Rakshita includes Svajanasya Rakshita, but just by that Go Balivardha Nyaya, to emphasize that he is not ignoring or not unaware of his people, Svajanasya Rakshita is also mentioned there, they say.
Okay, so explicitly mentioning something. Okay.
So we have two such examples there. One is Dharmasya Rakshita, but then immediately says Swasya Dharmasya Rakshita.
Mm-hmm.
Likewise, Jivalokasya Rakshita, Svajanasya Rakshita. So explicitly mentioning what is very important in the near context, in the close by context, in addition to the global context. Global implies local, but what do you say? A fan always would want a recognition for himself also, even though he says, "Oh, I love all my fans." Let us say a leader says that, a superstar says that. But every fan would want still an autograph, a shake hand, with that superstar, with that star himself, right? So that local recognition, in addition to global identification. That is what is mentioned by these two explicitly localized context-based mentions of Dharmasya Rakshita, Swasya Dharmasya Rakshita, Jivalokasya Rakshita, Svajanasya cha Rakshita. So these two are essentially sounding like that go bali vardanyaya, they are saying.
So, Bogaji, Gobali Vardanyaya is a term to explain this concept?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Is to say that it will sound like it implies.
Yeah, it implies, it goes along.
Yeah. But to explicitly emphasize that even though it is implicit, I want to explicitly mention it as well. It is called Go Balivartanyaya.
Okay.
Go Brahmane Bhisvam Bhavatu, we say, which means go technically is female cow. No, but we are not saying that you can slaughter oxen but not cows. No, we are not saying that. When we say go, ox is also implied there. But explicitly mentioning it to emphasize it is called Go Balivardhanyaya.
Right, it's clear now. Yeah, thank you.
Bogaji.
Any other questions, comments?
Yeah.
Before I...
Bogaji, this is Lava. Dharma se Parirakshita. What is the activity Rama is going to perform to maintain 4 Chaturvarna and Chaturashrama? To Rakshana.
So that is, I don't know, are you... can you elaborate your question? Because I'm not...
Dharmasya Parirakshana, the one thing is...
What is Rama doing there?
Yeah.
It's like asking, what if, somebody killed a dog in my locality, what is Narendra Modi doing for it?
No, what is
Yes,
it?
Narendra Modi is in charge overall of everything to happen in the nation, but that is happening at various tiers of administration. Likewise, Rama also, for example, let's take one way. So ultimately, Rama is not going to every street and making sure, every house, making sure that everybody is doing all these things, right? He has his staff doing all those activities. But ensuring that the staff is doing that is his quality, is his duty. And so we know, right, every midnight, Rama has his spy meeting. He has a meeting with all his spies. Every midnight, the spies come and they ring the bell after Sita goes to bed, or when everyone else go to bed, then he wakes up and comes, meets his spies, collects information, what's happening around the world, what are people thinking, how are people behaving, are there violators?
So when the different ashrama, like, so if the people who are in different ashramas, like Grihastha ashrama, Vanaprastha, so they is it saying that the different ages Rama is protecting the different age groups, or people following is he ensuring that they follow their ashrama correctly?
So
it is ensuring that everybody is following their dharma correctly. And for that, providing all the infrastructure, providing all the resources, making sure that these resources are properly utilized, that there is no corruption.
And also enabling them to follow, right? Like killing of Tadaka for the sake of Vishwamitra and all that.
So that is I think, Bogaji, what we can add is protection of people. So protection, so that they are able to perform dharmas, because protection from adharmic forces also is for the dharma rakshita. So in this context, Ravana, if we say as an alternate, right? If we see, he was against, he was adharmic in his approach. So in this Rakshasas were preventing performance of so many dharmic activities. So he in fact protected, by fighting off those people, he actually protected and ensured that people are able to follow. So protection also becomes part of it, is my opinion.
Yes. So when we know protection means the defense kind of protection, anyway we know it, right?
Yes.
The physical protection we anyway know. Yeah. But I'm also saying protection is not just that protection.
Yes.
From the positive side, enabling is also part of protection.
So that is Parirakshana.
To enable people to follow their duties, to ensure. So ensure also is part of the protection.
So that is exactly why I think he said Parirakshita instead of saying Rakshita. So Rakshita is, if you say it's only, Rakshita is only their protection. Parirakshita is completely protecting, right now, from all directions.
Correct. Not to quote a controversial one, but just so we understand how strict Rama is in enabling or in enforcing the dharma. Every dharma, at his individual level, he has enforced. He went through the pain of missing Sita, just because there is some opinion in the society that it may not be right. So there are only two options: either you resign or you follow the people's, verdict or the people's opinion, or satisfy people's opinion at a personal level. The reason first I quoted this is so that we understand the next controversial example that I'm going to give, because he's not partial, he's not biased. He hurts himself for dharma, and so if it required, he hurts anybody also. And so there is in Uttarakanda, there is one example of one, I forgot that name, one unqualified. See, I'm trying to use contemporary terms, so that, because if I use our traditional terms, some of us might get jolted and change our stand. So let me first talk in regular English terms. So there was one unqualified, unqualified with less credentials, with less academic credentials, trying to do certain courses for which he is not yet gotten the eligibility. He probably took the, let us say study material was patent protected or was piracy protected. Those textbooks were piracy protected. That knowledge was protected from the eligibility requirements. But this fellow got a pirated copy of it. He's not eligible. He didn't pass the tests. He didn't get qualification, but he wanted to study those textbooks. The reason was not explicitly mentioned of why he wanted to study that, for whatever reason, either because of passion or whatever. But illegally he got those rights, or illegally he got the copies and started studying it. Rama had to order again, see, literally, because that time study was not, there were not books, right? I mean, it is through oral tradition. So whatever, you keep chanting it, and so which is through the tongue, all the words and all come. So he got the tongue cut. That is literally what is said as the punishment there. I think some of us who know this person, we know that it's
Shambhuka.
Shambhuka.
Yeah, okay.
So if I take the term saying, oh, he's a Shudra, and so he was not allowed to study Veda, then we get jolted. But if we take from this point of view, he didn't have the right qualifications. He didn't pass the written tests. He didn't get the enough score. But and those textbooks, let us say if it was defense textbooks, if it was a defense college education, can you pirate that copy and study yourself? No, it is not an open textbook, right? So likewise, there are certain rules, but somebody violates, he takes very stern action. Whether it is for himself or for others.
I have a general doubt on this, right? What is the, I shouldn't be questioning, but no, what is the authenticity of the Uttar Ramayana? Do most scholars consider it as a credible story, or because most of them, they say with Ramarajya, with the 24,000, he says everything happens, everything after that, everything was nice and smooth. He ends there. If he had intended to continue about Ramarajya, he would have written some things about it, but he chose to end the path of Rama. So Uttar Ramayana generally may not be credible, is some people's opinion. So I wanted to get some perspective, Bhogaji.
Yes.
So
Ramayana is only Shatkanda.
Yeah.
Ramayana, widely accepted, is only Shatkanda.
Yes.
The seventh one is and Uttara, they say, some people.
Yeah.
Most of the pravachanams will be only for Shatkandas.
Yeah.
Uttarakanda is not even part of pravachanam in any place.
So is it accepted amongst our scholars as a work of Valmiki, or is it generally now because I have come across opinions where people just say, Uttara Ramayana is not accepted because of as a genuine work. It can be considered, at least in our group. Uttara Ramayana is an authentic text to quote.
Vikramji, Bhogaji, just to I saw a comment from Raj also. We should formally conclude this first and
yeah. Let's formally conclude. Yeah. Who can say Shant Mantra? Shreyangi, आप ही बोलिए.
Sure. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Okay, so that formally concludes. Whoever have to leave can leave, but we can hang on. Whoever is interested in discussions.
So we want to stop recording. I wanted to stop recording, or can continue.
Yeah, I'll stop recording.